Good morning, everyone. I looked at that picture and I said, who is that young man up there? Now, the spry young age of 40, so, yeah. Ms. Dismont, I want to, before I begin my official remarks, thank you for your passion to which you devote to the issues of our social fabric here. I've had the pleasure of knowing you for some time in multiple capacities, some as a constituent, others as a person who's a leader in the community, and your passion continually to make sure that awareness is raised on so many different issues is so important for this country. And it is the contributions of persons like yourself that actually make sure that we will have that bright future. So before I begin, I just want to say thank you for your work. Now, today, this is a significant conference and an opportunity to address an issue that has lasting impacts. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, is an issue that, if left untreated, negatively affects people everywhere, including right here in Bermuda. As a father of 2 young children, this conference is important to me for a number of reasons. Understanding ACEs will help me and my wife be more aware of our parenting and be better equipped to discuss issues with children. My daughter will be attending primary school in September, and we have to think about the friends that she will meet and what she will be exposed to outside of the home. My wife and I are responsible for our children's development, and we want to do our best to ensure that they have a safe, nurturing, and stable environment so that they can thrive. Understanding adverse childhood experience will help us, just like it will help the many helping agencies and persons of the community who are here today. This is a health risk that has a tremendous impact on future violence, victimization, and perpetration, and lifelong health and opportunity. We see it every day, and I'm sure that many of us have either experienced adverse childhood experiences or know of someone who has. Therefore, it is important that we give this issue the attention and care it deserves. And I would like to thank the Family Center for inviting me here today and for the programs and aid they provide to help to combat the effect of ACEs and bettering Bermuda's youth. For those that are not familiar with the term adverse childhood experiences, discusses the long-lasting effects that childhood abuse, trauma, neglect, and household dysfunction can have on a person mentally and physically in the future. An ACE score is a tally of different types of abuse, neglect, and other hallmarks of a rough childhood. There are 10 types of childhood trauma measured in the ACE study, and the rougher your childhood, the higher your score. Children require emotional and physical supports in order to thrive and function successfully in society. And when children undergo ACEs, these negative experiences can cause chronic and severe stress during childhood, which is especially toxic to a child's developing brain. These negative experiences, however, not only affect the child and when they are young, but can stay with that child for their entire life, hindering their ability to function successfully in society and create meaningful and positive relationships with others. Unfortunately, trauma is not something that simply disappears when the situation has ceased. And that's why it's important to prevent these ACEs from developing, but also to give support and treatment to those that have experienced them. ACEs can greatly affect a person's risk of health, social, and economic problems through life. And studies show that as the number of ACEs increases, so does the risk of long-term health, social, and economic problems, including chronic disease, and important for the matter of which we're discussing today, decreased work performance. For example, a person with an ACE score of 4 or more has 2.5 times the relative risk of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, than someone with an ACE score of 0. People with ACEs scores higher than 6 have a higher risk of their lifespan being shortened by 20 years. Chronic severe stress during childhood can disrupt the healthy brain development and impact child's executive functioning skills, which are necessary for impulse control and executive function, and are critical skills for the needed ability to learn. This information begins to shed light on how ACEs shape Bermuda's health and can potentially influence our economy. By affecting our health outcomes and behaviors, ACEs increase healthcare costs, raise employers' costs for healthcare, cause loss of worker productivity, and shrink earnings for employees who miss work. Additionally, statistics locally in Bermuda will tell us that the #1 presenting problem of families seeking help from social service agencies in Bermuda in 2010 was identified as unhealthy relationships due to unaddressed multi-generational trauma. Data results from the Trauma Indicator Checklist survey done by the Ministry of Education suggests that approximately 1 in 4 public school students from grades P4 to S1 are potentially at risk or at high risk for failing in school due to lagging or lacking executive function skills due to trauma. And our most serious public health challenges and a significant factor in chronic ill health in Bermuda is obesity and diabetes. The cost of diabetes care over the next 10 years is estimated to be $270 million in health insurance claims alone, excluding out-of-pocket payments, the impact on other health-related conditions, and a reduction of personal income as a result of lost hours of work. The wide-ranging health and social consequences of ACEs underscore the importance for preventing them before they happen. Safe, stable, and nurturing relationships and environments for all children are essential and can have a positive impact on a broad range of health and behavior-related issues and on the development of skills that will help our children reach their full potential. Of course, for many of you involved in the helping agencies here, the most important thing for a child to know is that a person's ACEs is not their destiny. They are not alone. Their experiences are not the end of their lives, and there are support systems in place for them regardless of whether they have that support at home or not. And I'm going off script here, but there's one thing of which we have to note, that the support services of which we offer in Bermuda are not enough. And our system of social support is under stress, whether it be to mental health, the care of our children, and also making sure that we put the resources in place which are necessary to keep those ones who want to continue to help in place to make sure they do so. So in our 2007 general election platform, the Progressive Labour Party set out an agenda that at its core promised to provide leadership on the social issues that demand attention in Bermuda. And we said that we would we would look to reduce the need for long-term social assistance by focusing on prevention and empowering people by investing resources as early as possible in the critical stages of people's lives, to implement performance benchmarks to make sure that the programs of which we're actually implementing are actually working, and the ones which are not working, that they are reformed so that we can make sure we have the proper impact, and also to make sure that we have family-first policies for children in lower-income households to ensure that we can break the cycle of poverty. Now, in the 2 years of which I've been in this office, I have heard the stories and the very traumatic stories of parents who are struggling to deal with challenges with their children, who have challenges, mental health challenges, behavioral challenges, and others. And it became evident after the first, I would say, year in office that we needed to do more from the government on the social services side. Now I'm going to get myself in trouble because I just looked over. I looked over the corner and I went off script and I see the Royal Gazette reporter. But as I reported to the House of Assembly, the government, well, it's important to be honest about these issues. We have challenges here in this country that have to be addressed, and the resources have to be put in place in order to address them. So as I recently reported in the House of Assembly, the government formed a cabinet committee dedicated to issues related to social development to tackle these and other issues. We have an ambitious agenda which will take time to accomplish, but I'm happy to say that the work has started. The lens of which we will view all of our policy implementation is one that makes sure that we address these issues which so many of our helping agencies are facing. And I'll just share a personal story, which I've shared with a few persons today. Because one of the challenges that we know that we also have are the impact of adverse childhood experiences and as they manifest in as mental health challenges for persons who are adolescents and are past adolescents. And the lack of that continuum of care for persons once they pass 18 and still have those particular challenges. And so the government will be funding and making sure that we make funding available in the very near future, at the latest at the next budget session, but possibly even before, through the Social Development Committee to fund community homes so there can be mental health treatment inside of communities, because we know that that is a significant gap right now inside of our helping agencies. Sometimes we cannot prevent negative experiences from occurring. However, we can control the procedures, programs, and support that is put in place to combat and mitigate these ACEs. A child's experience through childhood are some of the most important foundations for that child's overall development. The reason why I'm here today and the reason why the government is proud to support this effort is to make sure that we have better experiences for our children. It is our job as a government and also as society to help guarantee that children in need are given the necessary support to thrive. And this is our opportunity to build that better future. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your efforts. And I look forward to making sure, or I look forward to hearing about the beneficial impact that this conference will have on the development of our children and making sure that we can better service the challenges of our community. Thank you.